All right, let's get right into it. If you're running a major enterprise, you know what time it is. It's SAP Patch Day. And this January, SAP has dropped a really significant security update. So if you're the one managing these systems, you're going to want to listen up. We're about to break down exactly what you need to know and, more importantly, what you need to do like right now. So what's the scale we're talking about here? In total, SAP has released 17 new security notes. Now, you can think of those as 17 potential doors that an attacker could try to walk right through to get into your systems. It's a pretty big number, and it covers a whole range of products and potential issues. But honestly, it's not just about the quantity here, because buried in that list of 17, there are 4 vulnerabilities that are just in a totally different league. They've got critical severity ratings. We're not talking about minor bugs here. These are immediate, significant threats to your core business functions. And these are the ones we need to triage first. Okay, so Section 1, SAP's January Security Alert. Before we dive into the deep end, let's just get the overall picture. This alert is a real mix of different vulnerability types and severity levels. You've got everything from those critical injection flaws all the way down to lower risk issues. It really requires a careful look to figure out where the real danger is hiding. And that brings us to the main event, doesn't it? Section 2, the 4 critical flaws. These are the vulnerabilities that need to be at the absolute top of your list. The ones that, if you leave them unpatched, could lead to, well, major data breaches, complete system takeovers, and just severe disruption to your business. To put that threat into perspective, just look at this number, 9.9. That's the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, or CVSS score, for the most severe flaw this month. Now, on a scale of 1 to 10, a 9.9 is about as bad as it gets. It basically screams that a vulnerability is easy to exploit and that the impact is, well, catastrophic. So what is this 9.9 rated threat? It's a classic, and it is absolutely devastating. It's called SQL injection. Think of it like this. You give a command to your database, a normal request. An SQL injection attack is like secretly slipping a malicious, hidden instruction into that command. The database, it doesn't see the trick. It just follows the order, which could mean deleting your data, stealing sensitive information, or honestly much worse. Which brings us to the apex predator of this patch release, CVE-2026-0501. This is that 9.9 SQL injection vulnerability, and just look at where it's located. Right in the general ledger module of S/4HANA. I mean, we're talking about the beating heart of a company's finances. An attacker who already has credentials could use this to run their own database queries, directly messing with the integrity of your core financial records. This isn't some theoretical risk, it's a direct threat to your bottom line. Now let's round out this critical threat quad. Next up, we've got a remote code execution flaw in SAP Wily Introscope, which is scoring a massive 9.6. This is huge because it means an attacker can run their own code on your system from anywhere in the world, potentially taking it over completely. And get this, they don't even need a password. The last 2, both rated 9.1, are code injection vulnerabilities. Kind of like that SQL injection, they let an attacker slip in malicious code, but this time it's in S/4HANA and landscape transformation. The big takeaway here is that all 4 of these can give an attacker an incredible amount of control over your most important systems. Okay, so we've covered the criticals, the big 4. Now let's zoom out a bit and look at the broader landscape. Beyond those, you've got other high and medium severity flaws that create a really complex situation. They might not have a 9.9 score, but trust me, they absolutely cannot be ignored. You know, a major theme this month is all about access and authorization gaps. We're seeing several missing authorization check vulnerabilities. The worst one scores an 8.1. Just think of this as a security guard who's supposed to check IDs but just waves everyone through. It lets someone with basic access just waltz right into a restricted area. These kinds of flaws are often the perfect stepping stone for an attacker to escalate their privileges and get deeper into your network. And then we see a whole cluster of classic web application weaknesses. This includes stuff like cross-site scripting, or XSS, which can steal user sessions, and cross-site request forgery, or CSRF, which can trick a user into doing things they never meant to do. These vulnerabilities are aimed squarely at your web-based components, like the Fiori apps and the enterprise portal, which are often the most visible and accessible parts of your entire system. So here's what it all looks like when you put it together. We've got the 4 criticals we just focused on, But then there's another 4 that are rated as high severity, and then 9 more rated as medium or low. And while those criticals are the fire you have to put out immediately, those high severity flaws, things like OS command injection and privilege escalation, are just as dangerous in the wrong hands. This chart gives you a really clear, at-a-glance view of your patching workload. All right, enough about the problem. We've identified the threats. We know what we're up against. Now let's talk solutions. What is your immediate action plan to get your SAP environment locked down? It really just comes down to these 3 essential steps. First, prioritize. Your laser focus has to be on the critical flaws, especially that SQL injection in S/4HANA and the remote code execution in Wily Introscope. Those are your crown jewels. Second, consult. Get straight over to the SAP support portal. That's your source of truth for the specific patches and detailed guidance you need. And finally, step 3, remediate. Do not delay. The potential impact of these critical flaws is just way too high to sit on this. Get these patches tested and deployed as fast as you possibly can. And that brings us to the final thought here. Look, dealing with this month's patches is obviously a tactical necessity. It's a fire drill. But it also brings up a much bigger, more strategic question. Patch days like this, they're getting more common and they're getting more critical. So as you're remediating these 17 vulnerabilities, it's really worth asking yourself, with threats evolving this fast, is our patching strategy actually ready for what's coming next?